Hello, this is davidji. We go back to this concept. Patanjali wrote this in the Yoga Sutras. Yoga, Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha. Yoga, Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha. Yoga, oneness, union, the present moment, is the progressive quieting of the fluctuations of the mind. That's why we say we don't stop thoughts when we meditate, and a daily practice is not about that. We've heard of this concept, Abhyasa. And Abhyasa is that thing, that daily practice that we show up to every single day, every single week, month, year. This is the practice that we dedicate ourselves to. And what is that practice if we're a meditator? It's cultivating our ability to witness. That's essentially what meditation is, cultivating our ability to witness. So when we look at this concept of yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha, there's a second component of that. And that second component that Patanjali speaks of is vairagya, which is non-attachment. So if we have a dedicated practice, abhyasa, and we are also dedicated in that practice to non-judgment or witnessing or vairagya, not being attached to those fluctuations that come in and out of our awareness, that's how we manage to integrate this philosophy into our daily living. And that's the beauty of this particular practice. That's what this is all about. It's about understanding these concepts and then being able to integrate them into each of the steps that you take in your life. This theory without the practical application doesn't really mean anything. And that's why it's so important for us to get comfortable with the daily practice. Important for us to meditate to start our day, meditate to end our day, create those bookends of our day. And in that proactive process, because of course we can do all the things of de-stressifying in the moment or after the moment, but meditation is a proactive process that allows us to show up with greater witnessing awareness, allows us to show up with greater patience, allows us to show up with a greater understanding, greater empathy of what this moment brings. If fear comes into you through these teachings, we allow it. If we fight it, then suddenly we are, in that attachment or attaching to the fear. If love comes into us, we let love come into us, fill us, and maybe then it goes back out. We don't necessarily do anything with that. We don't grab it and we don't reject it. The same for hate or anger or any of those things. As the cultivators of our ability to witness, we let things come in, we let things go out. That allows us to live with greater grace and ease in the real world. So yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha, oneness, is the progressive quieting of the fluctuations of the mind. That ongoing practice allows us to stay in that space. Obviously, we're going to be triggered, but perhaps triggered less. But the concept of yoga is all about oneness. The concept of yoga is that progressive quieting of the fluctuations of the mind. Now, all of us are steeped in the concept of yoga as asana, or even yoga as pranayama. But yoga is meditation, and meditation is yoga. Meditation essentially is the tool that we use to connect to that state of oneness, that state of pure flow. When we can be in that state more and more and more, and it's a training. That's why we call it a practice, because we want to get comfortable with our daily practice. And if we show up every single day, and certainly if we start our day with that seed of stillness and silence, that makes all the difference. So let's talk about this concept of Nirodha, quieting. One of the obvious myths of meditation is that we meditate to stop thoughts. Well, that's not going to happen. With 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day, we're not stopping them, and our goal is not to stop them. And that's why this concept even of monkey mind is a little out there, because our mind is not a monkey. Be kind to the monkeys. Our mind is this fluctuating receiver of impressions. But one of the most important things that we can remember is that we're human beings, we're mortal, we're frail. We will leave this earth plane, but while we're here, we have the opportunity to be reactive or to be tranquil, to be attached or to be witnessers. And every time we show up to meditate, that's what we're doing. We're cultivating our ability to witness just a little bit more. So that's why we're not trying to have an experience necessarily in our meditation practice. A lot of people say, oh, that meditation was very turbulent, or that meditation, I fell asleep, or that meditation had this experience in it. We don't care. The purpose is just to show up. If we can just show up consistently and lock in the practice and do the thing, we know scientifically that we will have neurological plasticity that evolves us to a higher level of witnesser. We know that through this practice of witnessing, we will become more accepting. Scientifically proven at this point in our lives. The part of the brain that actually is responsible for witnessing and responsible for secondary motor actions suddenly eases down. We become better acceptors just by showing up every single day. And that's why I want to stress to you that yoga is meditation. Meditation is yoga. This oneness that we talk about, that we practice, that we live, that we seek. This is our way to go from, as Barbara DeAngelis would say, from seeker to seer. From seeker to seer. That's what becoming the master witness is all about. So it's all about comfort. It's all about showing up. It's all about knowing that if you do this thing, the benefits, the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual benefits will just flow to you and unfold from inside of us. It's so critical for us to realize that we don't have to do anything when we're meditating, that we're not trying to get to some place. We're just cultivating our ability to witness. When we look at this, the history of yoga, and we look at these 8 limbs, 8 tanga limbs, 8 branches of yoga, they're not necessarily meant to be practiced in a progressive state. They're meant to be touched. So whether these are the yamas, the niyamas, whether this is asana, whether this is pranayama, breath work, whether mastery of breath, whether this is pratyahara, which is allowing our senses to simply dissipate. Again, what's that accomplishing? Progressively quieting the fluctuations of our mind. And then there's that component, samyama. And samyama is dharana, attention, and dhyana, meditation. And then the 8th limb, of course, samadhi, that state of oneness where we can now walk through the world with greater grace and greater ease because we are unattached, because we have that physiological foundation resting inside of us. Let's just know we're on a beautiful path. Yoga, Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha. Let's use that as our mantra throughout the course of the day, knowing that oneness is not stopping thoughts, not doing anything with them, just progressively